Hello everyone, I'm Heather. I'm back for a quick light book chat. I'm on my lunch break and I'm eating SpaghettiOs. Don't judge me. They're very delicious. These are actually the British version of the SpaghettiOs. Chef Boyardee SpaghettiOs, the staple of my childhood, is the American version. This British version, the spaghetti hoops, slightly different. Not as good. I think I'll just add in, if you are a connoisseur of the tinned spaghetti items, I think American SpaghettiOs are better. Like, not to play a tired trope that British food is bland, because it's not true. But I do feel like these don't have as much flavor, so they need quite a bit of like doctoring ready to go. But once they're kicked up a bit, they are not bad, friend. Not bad. Actually, this needs more. Okay, it's been ages since I've had a delightful little book chat with anyone. October was a bit of a shit show. There wasn't a lot of talking about books or reading over the books or anything really in particular. But you know, I'm jumping back on it this month, and you know, I'm happy with my progress. It's been a slow and painful start to Nonfiction November, but you know, I'm just trucking on. I'm doing okay. I've had to change up my list a bit. My Nonfiction November list, that is, because when I posted my list, several people informed me, rightly, that 2 of the books I included in that were actually novels. So that needed to be rectified. I've kicked those out. I'm sad, but not that sad, because there's loads of good things to read. I've replaced them with 2 different books, one of which I finished and was okay, and one that I'm in the middle of now, which I'm particularly enjoying. So in October, I did do a book chat, but I left out a couple. Like, I did it in the middle and then read a couple after that, and one in particular, I'll talk about that one now, and then the ones that I'm reading now, and then potentially what's up next on the docket of things to read. Okay, so one of the ones I finished in October, one of my like spooky Halloween-ish sort of read stack, was Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. And loads of people who love Grady Hendrix, like I love Grady Hendrix or Stephen Graham Jones, also love Riley Sager. So I was like, okay, I should really get into this author. And I got a couple of them. And then Survive the Night I was really excited about, and then someone said, or like a couple people said, oh, it's not so good. And they were saying like other ones that they actually did enjoy. And one of them was this one. People enjoyed Home Before Dark. So I think I'll just like put it out there now that my expectations were quite high, and if you know anything about me, the expectations going in pretty much judge how I'm gonna feel about it, you know, like it doesn't matter what the book is like, you know, if it meets the expectations I had for it, it's gonna be like a certain star rating in my mind. But anyway, so it was sort of set up to fail already, and I think the main problem I had with this one is that I expected it to be more of a horror and less of just like a thriller. Do you know what I mean? So, not to give away too many spoilers, but I sort of expected the scariness element, like the supernatural element, to be, you know, more of a role in the story. Like, for the, like, not to give away the ending. I'm trying not to give away the ending, but like, I expected the supernatural element to play a bigger role in the book. And it played less of a role. Anyway, so the idea is this girl, she's a kid, and her family flee in the night from this house that they've just purchased because it's haunted and like ghosts are coming after them and they run away. So her dad, an author, writes a book about this experience of them fleeing in the night. And it blows up, like it's super popular, everyone loves it, gets a lot of media attention and like scrutiny, and like it creates, you know, followers, like cult followers. Later on, when she's older and her dad dies, she finds out that her dad left her the house. Like, he never sold the house, he kept the house, and he's left it to her now in his will. And she is of the opinion now that the book and the experience and everything is bullshit. She doesn't remember it ever happening. She doesn't believe that it could ever happen. She thinks her dad just sort of fabricated the whole thing in order to sell books because he was like a starving author at the time. So she's like, it's ruined my life. It's made me this like laughing stock of everyone, and I just want to get rid of it, have done with it, go into the house, fix it up, sell it, and just be done. And from there, we encounter her experiences in the house again as an adult, with also her sort of like meeting people that were around the house from the time that she was a child as well, and like getting like little flashbacks and like twinges into what happened when she was a kid at the original time. Anyway, I enjoyed it. Thought it was pretty good. I think the author's good, so I am going to continue on with my sort of like Odyssey of Riley Sager, I think. But I was in the mood more for like a horror rather than a thriller, and I think that's what's ruined it for me. It didn't play into what I wanted to play into for Halloween. Anyway, okay, so second one that I finished since the last book chat is called Sex at Dawn by Christopher Ryan and, hold on, Cassinda Jetha. I think that's how you say that person's name. I don't really know. Sorry. But this is an audiobook, and I got it ages ago in like an audiobook sale because the premise sounded really good and I was gonna be really into it, and like the Goodreads like comments were like really interesting, and anyway, I was hooked. Like, I was down, I bought it, but I hadn't gotten to it for ages. And then the whole bust with my like non-fiction November TBR like went down. I had to replace it quickly with two actually non-fiction books that fit the prompts or whatever. So I stuck in Sex at Dawn, this one, and also another one, Assassination Vacation by Sarah Vowell. So Sex at Dawn, first of all, I feel like this was a bit dry for me, and I really wanted to get into it, and I found quite a few things really interesting. Sort of the basic idea is that the authors are challenging this idea that humans have evolved to be monogamous, you know? So like we start out in our caveman days and we're just like getting everything, do you know what I mean? Like there's no like marriage, there's no relationships, like you just, you know, like survival, or like looking for relationships based on whether they can provide food and stuff like that. And now we've like evolved into people who are naturally sort of monogamous, and they're sort of challenging that, which is interesting, and I enjoyed that. But the argument that they built up was a bit like sort of one-sided, and I would say it's less like pop science, you know, like popular science, and more like a serious researcher sort of science, because there are so many like really dry bits in it, you know, that just sort of like go into detail and go on and on and on. Like only someone who's like really into the subject and know a lot about it would like be interested in that. But I think also a serious researcher would like find this like stupid cringy jokes about like lady bits and stuff like really distracting and like unprofessional, and also like the argument being like quite built up to one side, and like they didn't really address the other side. Like it being quite one-sided I think would also put a researcher off, or like a serious anthropologist, like they wouldn't really be into it. But like there were bits of it that I found super interesting. Like there was chat of like sexual and like marriage customs around the world, and like sort of, you know, different remote tribes, and you know, Africa and the Amazon, and that sent me down several Wikipedia rabbit hole spirals that I super enjoyed. Also, I found it really interesting, they were sort of highlighting how much of what we sort of know as fact about, you know, like human nature regarding like sex and relationships and sort of stuff like that, have come from studies by sort of socially conservative-ish white males, you know? So obviously they're going to have their own framing, and they're going to go after certain things, and they're going to make certain conclusions about the sort of data that's there, and they'll sort of like frame their experience in certain ways that fit to their ideals and like what their knowledge is and what their experience is. And obviously that's a bit worrying. Anyway, there were like quite good bits that I really enjoyed, and I'm glad that I read it, and it, you know, it was okay. But they sort of lost me at things like the chemical makeup of sperm that just went on for ages and ages and ages, and I'm just like, what is the point? Like, you could just like give me this in a brief, give me this in a summary. Like, I don't need to hear all the like chemical makeup of sperm. Anyway, I gave this one 3 stars. Okay, so the next audiobook, I'm in the middle of it. It's another one of the ones that I had to sort of like slot into my non-fic TBR, like as a replacement. And this is called Assassination Vacation by Sarah Vowell. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really loving it. Like, the author is so nerdy and like deadpan and obsessed with death. Like, but her voice, like I don't know, I'm like I want to try to say it with like without being terrible, but her voice is like quite like nerdy and like deadpan. Do you know what I mean? So like if you hear this book and you're like, oh, I'm really interested in that book. I'm not sure whether I should get it in an audiobook or in like a physical book. I think that you should like listen to a sample, first of all, of the author reading it. Like, I don't know if I can, I don't know, like give you a sample of like the book.
He warns me about the sensitive nature of our exhibits. Please. I actually giggle when he tries to steal me for seeing the recreated 1920s embalming room, as if I'm not wearing Bella Lugosi hair clips, as if I didn't just buy a book for my nephew called Frankenstein and Dracula Are Friends.
Like, her voice, I think, like could be quite distracting for some, or like quite, I don't know, like grating. Like some people might not get on with like the way that she performs the book. But me, I'm loving it. I'm really into it. Like she's so, like her humor is so like self-deprecating and honest and deadpan, and she's just like reading it, you know, in her like nerd voice. And I'm loving it. I'm loving so much. Like basically it's about her travels to visit these random places that have to do with famous assassinations or like famous murders or deaths. Like she went to this museum specifically to see the contents of Abraham Lincoln's pockets when he was murdered, you know, things like that. And she like drags people around who are like, some of them super interested in what she's into, and some of them have just come along because they're friends and they like, you know, they're not as into it as her. Like as she's going to these places and telling us about these places, she's also like losing herself on tangents and like sort of saying about her interactions with other people and how they've reacted to her like super intense obsession with death, you know. Like the book is full of tangents, but I fully enjoy them. I feel like they're hilarious. Okay, last one that I'm currently reading. And if you've been watching my channel like quite a lot, you're gonna see this book again, and I apologize. I just feel like I need to mention it. Okay, I just feel like I need to mention it again. Cocaine Nights by J.G. Ballard. This was last month's like 90s book club thing for Past Story Time. And I am very much enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm obviously really far behind. So it's not like I can even like fully participate in the book club's enjoyment of this book because they've already moved on. They're talking about a completely different book now, and I feel sad and pressured. Like I need to get back on the wagon, but I am really enjoying it. Like I don't want to speed through it because I'm really liking it. So at the minute, this guy, it's in the 90s, obviously, and he's just been told that his brother is in jail in Spain. Like he lives in Spain, and he like he owns like a club there, you know, like a leisure club or like a holiday club there. And he has been sort of implicated in arson where 4 or 5 people have died. And he's been arrested, and the brother gets a call from a guy who says, your brother is in jail, like please come, please, you know, sort it out. So he comes straight away to Spain and sees his brother in jail, and his brother says, I'm guilty, I've pleaded guilty. And he's like, how have you pleaded guilty? How have you done this? This is ridiculous. I know you haven't done this. You haven't set fire to 5 people. But the brother's being really weird, you know. He's like, oh yes, I have. I belong here, like that, just being like really cryptic. And so the brother sort of like leaves him and goes to sort of look at the area, to look at the house and look at his brother's club and his brother's flat and everything. And he's like talking to people, and people are acting really cryptically as well. It like turns out that at the time of the fire there was a massive party at the house that got burned down. Loads of people there, and the people who owned the house were like in their 70s, and they had locked themselves into the house. And my brother's like asking all these questions, like, doesn't that seem weird to you? And everyone's just like, oh, he's pleaded guilty, just calm down, like we know he's guilty, he's pleaded guilty, blah blah. And I'm getting like really good like noir PI vibes off the brother, you know, like reluctant PI vibes, you know, like that's my favorite sort of PI story, like the PI who has to be a PI, not because he likes being a PI, you know, but because circumstances have put him in that place. So his brother, he like does something else. He's not actually a PI, but he's now forced into like investigating this thing, and he's like dark about it. Do you know what I mean? He's like pissed off. But anyway, I now need to like speed through this book. I need to like get a grip on my life and just like get through it. Okay, after I've whipped myself to shape and gotten through that one, the stack of non-fic November books is right behind me, sort of looking at me. You know, I've like stuck them there, right? So they can just be like this, like while I'm working, you know, like, you know, like that. I think probably the top one, which I've been trying to read for a year, is going to be first. And then I think I'm going to cut to the tiny little one about mudlarking on the Thames, because it'll just be delightful and like a nice refresher after several large books. Okay, that's it. thank you for watching. Thanks for having a chat. If you have any questions or anything, any comments at all, please let me know. I'm a lover of the comment section, friends. I have finished this, just in case you were wondering if I was going to get that down. I did. I enjoyed it. I am 10 years old. Thank you. Okay, I will see you next time. Goodbye. Bye, 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 bye.